Hi everybody, it's Marcy, and in my last video we made a couple of bookmarks, one long bookmark and one, where did it go? Magnetic bookmark. I'm not sure where it jumped off to. There it is. Those. And then after we went off camera, I made a couple of more long bookmarks and a few more magnetic bookmarks. Oh, that one I forgot to round the corners on. I'll have to do that. And then, of course, I kept going and I made just a simple little belly band base. And then I was determined to use up some paper, so I made some little simple tag type things or dangly type things, bases for those. And then I went really off the rails and I pulled out some of my book papers and just started collaging away. All my glue pages. I'm not going to flip through all of these, but as you can see, I went quite crazy gluing book pages. So I've got, oh, and here's a little bitty index card that I had, I guess I'd cut out of a manila folder and not used, so it was in there, so I just covered it. So lots of different just bases that I can use for stuff. So now, believe it or not, that is all that is left from my scrap box. And so today, before I have to start embellishing some of that stuff, so what I want to do today is I want to work on making some little paper beads. I've got these little strips of paper that very easily just could have gone in the trash bin, but I thought, why not? Just to let you know, my husband is in the kitchen, which is right there, and he is brewing some beer. So if you hear noises, aside from my normal dog or when he goes crazy like he is right now, barking at nothing, enjoying the sunshine, that's what it is. Okay. To make my paper beads, I'm using an awl. And I'm just taking a strip of paper. It doesn't matter how wide it is. Just a little bit of length. This one is 5.5 inches long. Doesn't need to be that long, or it can be longer. And I'm just going to wrap it around my awl and start rolling. That just gives me a nice center, and it is, using the awl is a large center. Now you can see my paper is not, well, maybe you can see, my paper's not going on there perfectly straight. I'm not worried about that. At this point, I just want to get it rolled on. Okay, so now I've rolled it on, pulled it off the awl, and you can see with the awl it leaves a pretty wide center, but I'm okay with that. Now, to get those loose edges, all I do is I let it loosen itself a little bit and just push the edges in. Then I can grab the end of the paper, tighten it back up a little bit. Put a little glue on the end of the paper. Glue it down, and I've got a little paper bead. And this one is about 1/2 inch in length. So you make them any, like I said, any length you want. However you want. If you could use something as small as a needle if you wanted to wrap around. Now if you want not sure what they're called, the beads that are thicker in the center and narrower on the ends, you just take a piece of paper, cut at an angle. You can see that one's kind of triangular. Again, I'm going to wrap it around my awl, and I'm just going to wrap, and I'm not necessarily trying to keep it in center. It looks like this one is keeping itself centered. Oh, there it got off center. Just wrapping it around. And again, pull it off the awl. This time I'm holding the ends of the bead, and I can take the end of the paper and move it up and down the bead to get the shape I want. And on this one, now if I have one like this that has the really thin edge, I glue it farther down just so I get more real estate glued down. And there you go. That's simple. And in that short a time, we've got 2 beads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to finish rolling these, and then I will come back and start playing with the beads to see what we can do with them. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back, and you can see I've made several little paper beads here, and I've also pulled out some of my jewelry tools, and I've got a head pin and an eye pin, and I've got some a threaded needle, and I've got over here on this side, I've got some beads. I zoomed in a little bit so you all would be able to see what I'm doing. So, just thought I'd show you what I would do with a couple of these paper beads. And I think I'm going to start with the eye pin. And I'm just very simply going to put a bead on. And then one of my paper beads. And another little pink pearl. And I'm just going to very simply leave that as it is. And then I'm going to use my round nose pliers I'm going to start at the top and roll it down. Then set it back on itself a little bit so that it's more centered. Now I'm noticing that my top bead and my bottom bead are not turned the same way. So I'm going to simply twist it around. Now they're turned the same way. And for this one, I think what I will do is, I think I'm going to actually put a little oh, it's not so little, but a charm on this one. So I'm going to grab my pliers again. Here I've got a little jump ring. Oh. Open that up. This part is pretty difficult for me because I do not have the fine motor skills required to make this part easy. Okay. Have to hold my tongue just right and everything else. And then I'm going to slide that on. Close that back up. And there we have it. Now you've got a beautiful little dangle, which you can put on anything. This one, I think, at least for now, just to show you, I'm going to attach to a paper clip. So there you go. You've got a beautiful dangly paper clip. If you put it that way, it's going to hang down into your journal. But you could slide it over and attach it like that so that it hangs off the edge of your journal. I really like that. Okay, so that's one way. Just simply using an eye pen. Now another way would be, of course, if you don't want to hang a charm from it or something, you could use a head pen. And for that, I think I will put on a blue. And here I'm just using little seed beads and a white. And then I'm going to put a larger blue faceted bead. Put that there. And this time I think we'll use one of these that were at an angle. And actually, I think that might be a little tall. I might need to pull off I think we'll pull off the light blue. So go back, the white. And I want a larger bead next to the paper bead. For me, just because my hole is larger, since I used the awl to make it. And I don't want the beads just to slide down into the paper bead. Okay, this one needs a little bit of a trim. There we go. That's better. Okay. So now my larger bead and a white bead. So then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold the bottom of the head pin up against the beads. Take my round pliers. And twist it down and around. And I'm going to keep going until it meets. And I'm going to turn it back on itself to get that to straighten up a little bit. There we go. And there you've just got a very simple dangle. And I think for that one, we will put onto a bulb pin. And there you go. So another very simple way to do that. Now for the next one, I'm actually going to use, I've got some 20 gauge. It's called artistic wire. It's just craft wire. And I am going to cut off probably more than I will need. I'm going to cut off about 10 inches to start with. And for this one, I am going to start at this end and I'm going to wrap it around. I'm basically going to make a coil. All right, so I've got it wrapped around 3 times, and now I'm just going to use my flat pliers to kind of squish that together a little bit. And fold it back a little bit. All right. Now, I'm going to start with, how do I want to do this? I think I'll use these 2 beads. And I'm going to use just a little bit of my vintage photo just to kind of grunge up the edges of this one a little bit. And I'll start with a large bead. And then a little seed bead. And another little seed bead. Then another large bead. This one's going to be a good bit longer. Where's the opening for this? There it is. Okay, so let those drop down. Now I'm going to put on paper and we will do another large bead. And a seed bead. Another seed bead. And another faceted bead. And a second paper bead. Drop that all the way down. And now we need to finish it. I'm going to need one more faceted bead. There you are. Okay. And now I'm going to take my wire and my round nose pliers basically I'm going to make a loop because I want the wire turned back up this direction. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm not sure that I have enough wire. Let's risk it and see. Okay. Now this is where I have a hard time figuring. I'm going to take the end of the wire and I'm going to wrap it around my loop, if I can. There we go. Then I'm going to take my wire. I think I'm going to have to hold that with my pliers. And I'm going to wrap my wire around my beads, back up to the coil we made. Okay. Then I'm going to take the end of my wire and wrap it around that initial coil that we made. nose pliers so I can get it wrapped in there tight. Want to get it wrapped back around so that don't have anything sticking out to poke. All right, so there's that one. Straighten it up a little bit. So there you go. There's that one. Okay, now I've used lots of wires and lots of jewelry making tools and stuff like that, which not everybody may have. So the other thing you can do is, I need a couple of beads. You can use just use needle and thread. So, all right, let's just do this. So I'm gonna take my thread through my bead, but I'm going to leave a tail. And then, so I took it up that way. I'm going to wrap it around the bead, put it back through, and pull it through again. Leave a loop. And now I am going to simply tie a knot here. Except you actually have to tie a knot. I promise it's really not nearly as difficult as I'm making it look at this particular moment. Okay. There you go. So I've got it knotted and I've maneuvered this knot so that it is at the top. So that when I now put another bead on, this bead will sit on top of my first bead. So it kind of covers the bead up. Okay, so then let's use one of these. There we go. And our little faceted bead again. And our little glass bead again. Now here's where you kind of have to make a decision. Because you could just tie it off just like we did the bottom one. But then you don't really have anything to hang your dangle from. So what I'm going to do is what I'm going to try to do is grab another jump ring, which I already have out. Thread that through. And now I'm going to go back in through my top bead and down through the bottom. Like that. And then I am going to go between the top bead and the second bead and make a knot. Trying to be sure that everything is holding together pretty well. And then wrap it around and make another knot. So again, my knot will be hidden. Cut that off. I can cut this end off. And there we've got another dangle. Let's put this one on a paper clip as well. Another little dangle without having to have all of the jewelry pliers and so on and so forth. So there you go. I will be back shortly, probably to begin Dear Julie's June challenge. In the meantime, be safe, stay healthy, and happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.